Hey bro, how
Cool.
are you? All good?
I'm very good. We are live and we are kicking.
Good stuff.
It's
Nice.
Friday.
Absolutely. Happy Friday.
Yeah, you too.
Nice one. Yeah, I've
Oh,
been
good.
looking forward to the weekend. It's been a bit of it's been a good week overall, but it's been a little bit stressful. I've had some little bit of anxiety from some stuff that's going on with I'm switching over from being a sole trader to a limited company, and there's a lot more like regulatory requirements. That's a mouthful. Regulatory.
Yeah.
A lot more requirements, so it just means
Yeah.
it's more of an investment with accountants. But other than that, it's all good. What about
Yeah.
you?
Surely it's not too much to do that switch with an accountant. I mean, a limited company setup here is like £7. I know there's some like HMRC stuff and that sort of thing, but it's like, obviously how different is it in Ireland?
I'm not sure how different it is, but like I know for me to get set up and switch over, it's going to be 2 grand in once off fees.
Yeah.
Because they have to like deregister VAT, re-register the company, and
Yeah.
then the monthly fees are also
Yeah.
higher for reporting stuff and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, first world problems, right? Like it's not something
Yeah.
it's not going to ruin me, but it's like anytime you're making it, I think obviously it depends how wealthy you are,
Mm.
but for normal people like us, I think when you're making an investment more than a couple of grand, it's like, whoa, scary at times.
Yeah. It's like bigger overheads, isn't it, when you're growing?
Yeah.
You're growing your business and that. That's exciting, isn't it? That you're doing becoming well. You are going to be owning a separate entity to yourself now.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like I wasn't even like that sure of like what's the biggest difference between a sole trader and having a limited company, but that's essentially the thing. It's like you are essentially an employee of your own company. So you're not
Yeah, that's right.
you're not going to have any issues if worst came to worst, and went bankrupt. There's a lot of different laws around it. So um
Mm.
yeah, but yeah, I'm happy. I'm very happy that I've kind of got to this point. I've been really looking forward to chatting with you as well, because I know we've talked a bit here and there over the last kind of few months and stuff, but
Yeah.
last time we did the podcast um was that at the end of 2018?
Uh, no, it was actually the when was it now? It was November 2020.
19.
2020. No, yeah, 'cause I launched the podcast in 2020,
Oh,
in
nice.
November 2020. So it was over. I think we recorded it like November or December 2020, but I released it like Feb 21, I think.
Nice. Yeah, I've completely lost track. Like the whole like COVID of, from March 2020 to whenever it finished, mid last year, mid 22, like that whole year and a half to 2 years is just
Mm.
in my mind seems like a bit of a blur. It's like crazy time. Um,
Yeah, 100%.
it's mad
Yeah,
how
did it like really.
sorry, you broke up a bit there.
Yeah, I was just saying it's like nothing happened in terms of like because everyone was like stuck in, etc.
Mhm.
It's yeah, it just that year amalgamated into not even a year. It's weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. I'm sure everybody had a very kind of similar experience of just how messed up it was. So I
Mm,
think it's something that we all have in common, and everyone's gone through a lot of struggles through those couple of years. Because like, um, I know for me, like it messed up so many things, like holidays and meeting up with friends, or even my friends going to my friend's wedding, and it was
mm,
weddings were limited to 25 people, which is crazy. It was still good fun, but it messed up so many things. And then obviously the worst side of it, of people getting sick or actually passing away, like it's so very like crazy time. So it's just great that we've kind of
yeah,
gone through it now.
yeah. Put that behind us. I think move forward until the next pandemic.
Yeah, hopefully not for a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
the last one was the Spanish flu back in, I think it was 1918 or 1920. It was like during or just after World War One, I think.
Yeah. So the next one will be around 2118, 2120 or something like
Yeah,
that.
after our lifetime, I think.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No, good, good. Yeah, but we we spoke then, and you've you've done quite a lot since we last spoke, because I know we talked a lot about mindset and PTs, but you are not calling yourself a personal trainer anymore. You're like you. Am I right in saying you're more of a coach? Do you want to dive into that to see sort of where you've obviously you've done a little bit of traveling. You've lived across Europe for like 4, 5, 6 months or whatever it was. But yeah, tell us a little bit about what you've done this in what was your 2022 like?
yeah, it's been like a lot of things that happened over the last few years. I used to call myself a personal trainer, and that was kind of adequate at the time because I was working with people in person in the gym on a one-to-one or in group basis.
Mm.
But after, specifically doing personal training for um, about 4 years, I'd, gradually come to the realization that, most people only are going to be in the gym for maybe 2 hours of a week. So you're there for 2 hours out of 168 hours.
Mm.
That's you're literally spending like 1 to 2% of your entire week in the gym, doing a workout. And the other 166 hours of the week is where everything else happened. And so logically for me, I want to constantly move forward and, focus on growth. So it didn't make any sense to just stay a personal trainer. And I was like, well, if I really want to cover everything, I should be a holistic health coach, because like, and from us working together, that's like, there's so much more to making a change that lasts for good than just, oh, here's a training plan to follow, or here's a food plan to follow. Like, you literally need to look at everything, your sleep, your food, your movement, your training, your stress levels, your anxiety, your mental health score, like everything you can think of, it needs to be addressed. Because when you want to make a change that's sustainable and lasts for good, it's about looking at your physical health, mental health, emotional health. And obviously your spiritual health is important, but that's not something that I specialize in. That's obviously something that's unique to everybody. But those are the big three, physical, mental, emotional. So with holistic health coaching now, I feel that just represents me a lot better, because when I'm working with people, we want to have a look at every single thing, So I just feel like it's a much more sustainable approach. And it's something, I've always been a big fan of covering every element and not just being one-sided, and most importantly, it helps people to feel their best. And, after us working together for a period of time, whether it's 8 weeks or, 16 weeks or 6 months or whatever it is, that person is then fully empowered with everything that they need to know to then continue on their journey, so that's kind of the big reason why I switched over to being a holistic health coach. So
Yeah.
I have to call a few people out in it, because like even my girlfriend or some of my friends are like, oh, how's the personal training going? I'm like, I'm an ex-personal trainer, not anymore. So
Yeah.
it's just an important distinction, I think.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So what would you define the word holistic? Like when people ask you, or if any, maybe I'm the first that's asked you this, but what does holistic actually mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just means that you're taking a whole approach. So,
Yes.
Most people, let's say, that want to, they want to get fitter, they want to get stronger, right? They just look at, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do whatever, do the machines and do a little bit here and there. And like, the thing is, like, that's only the surface of it, because if you look into why people want to make a change, it's usually not the vanity stuff, of like, oh, I want to tone up or get leaner. Usually there's things below that of like, oh, actually, the last few months or years, I haven't been feeling that confident. when I go into work, I don't feel good in my clothes. So when I'm with my colleagues or when I'm doing a presentation work, my lower confidence is actually really affecting me. So I don't feel good. And that's having a knock-on effect on my mental health. Or with other people, it's like, they struggle a lot with their anxiety or with not knowing how to manage their stress. And that could be not just from work, but it could be from any part of life. It could be financial stress, emotional stress, work stress, trauma that they've experienced in the past. So the thing that I'm more interested in looking at is like, okay, it's really great to have those surface level goals of get stronger, get fitter, tone up, look great. But then the other things are like, okay, if we go below the surface, it's like that photo of an iceberg, it's like only the tip of the iceberg is what sticks out, but 95% of the iceberg is under the water. You can't even see it. So that's like, our mental health or our traumas or things that are below that. And like we all behave or act in certain ways, mostly based off what traumas or what things we've experienced in younger life. So obviously, like, I'm not a counselor, but when I work with people, I'm very open to just listening, to what they have to say and being like, okay, how can we find a way that's specific to you, that's going to allow you to feel your best physically, mentally, emotionally, give you, goals that are, manageable, and do things, that allows you to, most importantly, just feel your best, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing of, you want to feel your best every day. And so the approach for each person then would be slightly different, so I hope that kind of answers how I'd kind of look at the holistic side of things.
It makes total sense. And I think, it's very much something that is, I think, a lot more needed than just a personal trainer that can get you in the gym and show you how to use equipment and a bit of the nutrition side of things, because I think there's a massive thing that's around those two things, and that was something that I definitely needed through yourself, and that was the mindset and the understanding of and the science behind it. And there's all these other things. There's like 5 other factors that don't include going to the gym, exercising outside the gym, and food. It's actually more than that, isn't it? It's way more than that. It's a whole life learning experience that takes a mindset. Some people just naturally have it. Some people don't. Like I definitely didn't. I didn't start going to the gym till I met you at the age of what, 27, was it? 27.
Yep.
So it's like I stepped foot in the gym like 3 times before that. Fuck knows what I was doing. But yeah. Yes, I definitely think it's like it's good what you're doing. I feel like I've never heard that before. I feel like it's a bit of a niche, and it's good that you're covering a spectrum of different things that will help you achieve the goals you want, the eating habits and the habits in the gym. Yeah, that's good.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the gym either, because now that I've shifted to working mostly, with women, a lot of my clients, the ladies that I work with, generally they either have had a bad experience in the gym before, so they feel uncomfortable in that environment, or they've just never been a fan of it, or actually the third one of, just the time aspect of it as well is huge, because if you need to drive 30 minutes to go to a gym, you need to find parking, then you need to actually go do your session and then get sorted, you're losing it at least an hour and a half to 2 hours out of your day. So the great thing is you can actually train from home. And the way that I set up my 8-week transformation program is that everything is via video call, so that we can you literally can just join in with either a one-to-one session or a class, and you can do your session at home, and you've just saved an hour in your day. So that's why I said earlier, it's like everyone needs their own unique approach, because some people love going to the gym and they love being in that environment and they love getting out of the house. And then other people, as I said, for those 3 reasons, might want to go there, and that's absolutely fine. And that's kind of a key thing, that you don't actually need to go to a gym to see a lot of positive, progress or results with your
Yeah.
physical health, your mental health, and feeling good. So I think that's just an important thing, I wanted to point out, because it's something a few people have mentioned to me before, of like, oh, well, if I can't actually go to a gym, maybe I can't get results, but you can for sure. So yeah. And the thing is, like, because everyone is on their own journey, there'll always be a need for people who just specifically do personal training. And because not everybody is ready to look at every part, so like, I
Can be
know,
quite overwhelming, can't it?
yeah, exactly, yeah, it can be overwhelming, like, and like, even like before I started working with a counselor back at the start of 2019, if someone had asked me about my mental health or my anxiety or stress levels or whatever it was, pre 2019, I wouldn't have even been open to that conversation. So it just depends on, where you're at in your journey.
Yeah, definitely. I do think, yeah. And I guess diving into that, not personally talking about yourself now with that, because you've been through that journey and I've been through a similar journey back in like 2015, 16. I think I had around that time. Yeah, it was about 2014, 15, 16. So about 3 years. And you sort of have to really want to help yourself, don't you? I guess I don't know, like, if people are ever ready for it, or you just throw yourself in. But I very much, because I was in a really shitty state, I wanted to get help, and I didn't know where to start. So obviously I went to my GP. My GP referred me to sort of like a mental health one-on-one session, and then they referred me to, well, you can either wait to have a one-on-one coaching for 6 weeks or whatever session, or you could be part of a group that does God, what's it called? CBT. So I did CBT, and I found that pretty useful. I did some of the exercises they asked me to do, obviously homework and that, and I feel, because I wanted to like stop feeling like that, because I felt like it before I'd got out the rut. Then I got into it again at some point down the line. I got out the rut, and it was just a vicious cycle. And tell you what, actually, this is going to sound a bit harsh to the other people in the room, but
Go for it.
The one of the main reasons why I sort of got out the rut from one of the last times I ever remember from going to the CBT classes, everyone in that room, maybe by a couple of people, were like a hell of a lot worse off than I was. Like, I had a roof over my head. I wasn't paying rent. Well, actually, I was. I was living with my grandparents at the time. I was paying like minimal rent. Like, I had a job. I had a girlfriend at the time. Like, I was DJing. It's like, what was wrong with me? Nothing. Like, these people going in there, and they were like, they couldn't afford to pay their bills 1 month, so they had serious issues. I didn't. So I was like, I need to just like sort myself out. Which, it's not something. I guess sometimes it's like, that doesn't mean I should be inexcused, because everyone has different battles with their head and everyone's different. But I guess I understood. I was like, I'm not actually that bad. So even though I had my own personal mental problems in my head that I couldn't seem to shift, I realized that there was people with those problems plus added stresses of everyday adult life. So that's what made me, I guess, get out that rut and maybe not go back into that state quicker. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally can relate to that, because there's a word for it. And there's this really good Instagram page that I've been following for the last few years. The Holistic Psychologist, I think, is her page.
Yeah.
She put up a post today. I can't remember what the word is, but it's very easy to, kind of place that judgment on yourself, of your, like, when you're like, oh, well, when I compare myself to somebody else, I haven't had it as bad as them.
Yes.
So then you feel guilty, because you're like, oh, I shouldn't be complaining about my situation. But the thing is, like, everyone's experience is different. So you don't want to like belittle your own experience. Like, what you've experienced and how you feel as a result is just how it is, you know. And there's like, that's a trap that I've fallen into a lot in the past, is like compare myself to other people. And like when you're on Instagram, I know for me anyway, I feel miserable when I compare myself to other people, or in that kind of situation when you compare your trauma almost with somebody else's, then it's like it can almost make you feel worse. So definitely, you know, I wouldn't like belittle the experience that you've had, but you know, you want to obviously when you're, and we'll get into it, like whenever you worked with a counselor in the past, you know, did you get to work through that and then come out better the other side, or like what was your experience like working kind of through that situation that you were in at the time?
So yeah, I didn't ever do any one-on-one sort of sessions. It was just in a group, and it was for like, I think it was like every other week or once a month, I think, or something. And it was a few people in a room, and then you got given these booklets on, and that's where I learned the difference between depression and the anxiety. And I realized it was anxiety that I had rather than depression.
Yeah.
So I don't think I was ever depressed. I felt down, but I felt down because of my anxiety. It was like a sort of like anxiety was worrying about the future too much, way too much, and putting pressure on unnecessary pressure on myself.
Mhm.
But through going to these CBT sessions, there was a lady from the University of Birmingham, or it was Aston University, one of the two. And I don't know if they were students or doctors, but she was quite young, and she was like, "We want to, we're paying people to come in and answer a series of questions over 6 months with, what's the brain scans called? This MRI."
MRI,
Yeah,
yeah.
MRI, and have some MRI scans over the course of, actually it was a year. It was a year. So I was part of an experiment for a year, or trial, not trials, like a mindset, how they wanted to monitor the brain. And it was quite intensive because it's every quarter, I think. And it was from there. And she asked a few people. I volunteered because you get paid like 40 quid to be there for the day, and
Nice.
they just ask you loads and loads of questions. Like, it's quite intensive. And then they get you to do some like brain activities on the computer. And then I got a picture of like, I can't remember what it was for now, but it was for some leading university in Germany that it was linked to, and I've got a picture of like what's going on in my brain. But I actually never read. I'll have to like dig it out, because I actually never really understood what I was getting myself in for. For all I know, I was getting my brain scanned, and it was going to like Russian scientists or something. I don't know, but yeah, but I think going to them meetings, because it was one-on-one, and just talk, because there would be questions like, "What's the worst thing you've ever done?" And "Who in your family have you hurt before?" And give us, it was like them sort of questions, and I didn't have to answer them, but I wanted to. And I guess just talking about loads of stuff
Yeah.
just made me, I don't know, I guess more of a talkative person, and coming out my shell a bit, and yeah, it's less anxiety, I suppose.
Nice. Yeah. I was thinking getting 40 quid as well when you're a student, or you're, you know, working your way up. That was a lot of money back in the day.
Well, yeah, it was actually, and I remember I booked a day off work, because I was getting paid from work for having holiday, and plus that as well.
Nice.
So it's all right, yeah.
Hopefully your ex-boss doesn't listen to this.
Yeah, she can screw herself.
Oh my God. Um,
I'm only
yeah,
joking. No, I'm not. She was mean. She was a mean boss.
she contributed to your trauma.
Yeah, yeah. She was one
Um,
of these. Like, I don't like speaking like bad of anyone really, but yeah, like she didn't. She used to just come in the office in the morning. So there'll be three of us in the office, and we used to have a good laugh, good banter, still do the work, and then she'd come in and like bring the whole mood down. I don't know. She's just one of those people that just was just miserable all the time, miserable. Like, have you ever been around someone like that, and they bring your mood down?
yeah.
And
So
it's yeah, it's the energy. Yeah, they're just a vampire when it comes to energy. They just suck it out of you, and you're, oh man. Yeah,
yeah,
but anyway, that's digressing there. But yeah, so yeah, she can stuff it.
yeah. It's Yeah, it's a tough one, like when you're in that situation, like because when you're in a work environment with people like that, you don't really have an option. You can't be like, if I ever experience someone like that in my personal life, I'd be like, okay, they're on the blacklist of people that I don't want to be around, because that's just not the type of person I want to be with. You want to be with people who are uplifting, who support you with things, who give you energy, not take energy away. But when you're in a work environment like that with people, it's really difficult. And yeah, I think it's one of the reasons, like a lot of people end up moving jobs. It's not because they don't like the job, but it's the environment or the culture that they're in. And who you're spending your time with is so important. Like there's a great quote, I think it's from Jim Rohn. It's like, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if
Yeah.
you spend all your time with 5 people who are energy suckers, you're probably going to feel awful. But if you spend your time with people who are supportive and doing like-minded things, or have that growth mindset, it literally like changes everything in your life. So
Yeah, I really, really, really like that quote. I know since when I first heard that, I was like, I need to find 5 people and surround myself. Well, not specifically 5, but surround myself with like-minded people, and that's what I did. So, within like the business and property industry, like it's like one of the supportive and largest network groups I've ever had in my life, and I just yeah, it just feels just really good to be part of, and everyone wants everyone to be successful. Yeah, it's nice.
yeah, it is, because there's like there's way too many people out there that they're unhappy with their current situation, so then they project their insecurities or their unhappiness onto you to try and bring you down. So like your circle is so important. That's why I'm really happy that we met, because I think we're very like-minded in how we approach things, and kind of our outlook on things. So
100%. And just going into that, actually, a little bit, just what we're discussing. What's your thoughts on family when it comes to that?
in anything in particular?
No, family when it comes to keeping them at arm's length. Your family might be great, but my family are not great. If I'm totally
Yeah.
honest, when it comes to I'm not going to name drop or say who or what in my family, but I've got certain members in my family where I can't be around them for that long, because the amount of times where I've gone round on a day, certain day, and just because I want to keep in touch, I want to see my family. I
Yeah.
limit my time, because by the time I've been there for 45 minutes for now, by the time I want to leave, I've got a headache, and I'm exhausted mentally, and that might sound ridiculous, probably not to you, but to anyone that's listening. Like I'm physically exhausted and mentally exhausted just because of the negativity. But it's not so much talking about me, but it's just projecting blame onto others around the world, like, oh, immigrants and the banks and the prime ministers, and it's the same bullshit, and it's like it just brings the vibe down. Whereas if you go to like an expo with like people within your industry, or like for me a property networking event, everyone's talking about do deals together, let's do business together, congratulating each other, and it's a different ball game.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family.
Yeah,
It's like, I don't
that's
think
right.
I don't like to make sweeping statements or talking absolutes, but from my experience so far of
Mm,
everyone that I know, and families that I've met, I think almost everybody probably has some type of messed up situation in their
mhm,
family. And I do, for sure. Like, I'm not
mm,
gonna give specific details, but like there's been a lot of shit that's gone on in my family,
mm.
and like I'm sure a lot of similar things have happened in a lot of other people's family.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, I think it's up to you as the individual to manage, your time, and allocate it accordingly, to the people that you want to be around. And obviously, at the end of the day, if people are your family, you don't want to feel like you have to disown them, but you can approach it in such a way that like, okay, I'm going to be tactical with my time here of like, okay, this person who is an alcoholic who happens to be a family member and has never been that great of a person, I don't have to be horrible to them, but at the same time, I need to protect myself, and I want to keep the amount of time that I give to that person as small as possible, Whereas
Yeah.
if there's other people in your family who you love, and it's like, okay, fine, like I want to be with that person, once a week or twice a week or whatever, but it's like, I think it just depends on the severity of the situation and kind of what the history has been like, so there's definitely some people, in my family that I want to spend more time with, and other people that I'm like want to keep the time as minimal.
Yeah, totally agree. I think like your time is like a funnel or like a filter, and you get to choose what and who you put in that filter, so it filters out and the amount of time, if that makes sense. So it's, yeah, and I think like family is a big one, because some people might listen to this or disagree with what we're saying about like family, because it's like, oh, they're family, so you should give them more. Than that's not true. If your family are bringing you down or they're not supportive of you, why would you want to waste your time? That's a limited resource, and your most valuable asset on the planet. Why would you want to give your time to that?
Yeah, for sure. It's like, as you said, time is literally our most valuable resource. It doesn't matter if you're Elon Musk, like, or Putin, or whoever the richest person is in the world,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
yeah,
debate, but it doesn't matter how much money you have, you can never buy more time back.
mm,
And like, the way that I look at things, and people might find it a bit Mormon, morbid, you might find it a bit morbid, but it's like, we're all going to die at some point. And that's what makes life so special, is that we have a time limit. And like, I know I don't want to get to my last moments and be like, oh my god, I wasted all this time with this person who was an energy drainer, and I wasted all this time doing a job that I didn't like, and things like that. Like, that would be the worst thing ever for me, like having regrets. And I know that I want to use my time as well as possible and put it in the right places. So you want to be selfish at times, because like,
yeah,
if you're not selfish and if you don't take care of yourself, like, you literally can't take care of anybody else. So yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a bit of a sensitive subject, but it's a really important one. There's a really good quote from I think it's from Achilles or someone else. I'm just gonna look it up if I can find it.
yeah.
It's really powerful. It was in Troy, the film
Oh,
from
nice.
Great.
Yeah,
um I'll see if I can find it here on Google. But there's also another really good quote, Memento Mori, and I got that from listening to Ryan Holiday.
oh yeah, it's good. It is.
And it's something I can't remember. I think it might have been Marcus Aurelius or someone that said it, but it's like, you will die. And it's like, just a reminder that to make the most of the time that you have, and the time that you have here is very, very valuable. So don't do it doing things that you don't like or enjoy, or with people that you don't want to be around.
Yeah, yeah. Totally agree. I totally agree. Mm. That's just your quote. You will die.
Yeah. So it just
Yeah,
depends on your perspective. You could look at that in
yeah,
a bad way and be like, oh, sure, what's the point of living? Or you can look at it in the opposite way of like, oh my God, like, I've only got this amount of years left. Like, let's go 110% and do as many, things as I can. And like,
yeah,
that
yeah.
doesn't have to mean that you're pushing yourself really hard all the time. That could literally mean, oh, like, tomorrow I want to spend all day with my girlfriend and just chill out and watch Netflix,
Mm,
spend quality time together, so it's really, I think, just depends on your perspective of it.
yeah, definitely.
I'm trying to find that quote here. So where is that? Oh yeah, here we go. So he said they envy us because we're mortal, because any moment might be our last. Everything is more beautiful because we're doomed. You will never be lovelier than you are now. We will never be here again.
Mm.
That was,
Alpha quote that.
yeah. And I think I watched Troy. I came out in 2004, actually, I can see here. And like, so I was what, 10. So it had quite a big impact on me seeing that and seeing Brad Pitt absolutely ripped. And
Oh yeah, is that what got you on your PT journey? Was it?
that might have sowed the seeds from a young age.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
I want to look like Brad Pitt.
I just looked my seeds when I looked at Fat Bastard from Austin Powers. That's where I went. That's the road I went down.
Nice. Very inspirational.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I was like, oh, I like that character. It's funny. I'm just going to eat loads of shit and look like him.
Nice. That's gas. You mentioned earlier about the anxiety that you went through. And like, so what do you feel like were some of the things that maybe helped you most with the anxiety? And like, what was it like before? Like, if you were to, describe it, what was it like when it was like at its worst?
Yeah, I can give you an exact specific moment for that actually, because it was that then when I just had enough and I decided to just try and do something about it. And this was actually way after the CBT. And I just had enough. Like, so I was in for anyone that knows Birmingham, I was in the Bull Ring, so like a big shopping centre. And I was just hanging around in there because my sister had her driving theory test that day. So I dropped her into town and I went to the Bull Ring just to have a look round. And I was standing there and I was on my phone. I was on like the first floor, and you can look down to see what's on the ground floor. And there were people giving out like free water samples, just because every weekend there's someone giving out like chocolate or water, or like the companies trialing products. And I was like, I really want one, but I was like too anxious to go and just ask for one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I felt it sounds ridiculous. And then like, so I stayed still, and then I got my phone out, and then I was on my phone, but then I felt like it was at that time where like smartphones has become kind of bad, because everyone it was even on the news about like kids and adults looking at their smartphones consistently and not paying attention to the world. So I was looking at my smartphone and I had this feeling that everyone was staring at me, even though I know they weren't. Probably no one was paying attention to me. I was like, right, put my phone away. And then I was like, I'm going to go down and get some water. So I really like psyched myself up to get some water. And I went down the escalators, went down, went round one of the stalls, and the guy who was giving out water just to anybody, didn't even have to say anything. I was begging and praying to whoever that he wouldn't approach me and give me the water, because I didn't want that interaction, because I was so anxious about it, and how ridiculous is that? I know to me it wasn't at the time, but it sounds like what the hell. But that was a bad case of anxiety, I think. I just didn't want to. Yeah, just wanted to get out of there. I never felt anything like that before in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Just work myself up completely.
Yeah, makes sense. What age were you at the time that happened?
I think I was like probably like 24, 25.
Wow.
So like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's it sounds pretty similar to what I experienced as well. Like when I was younger, I never, I didn't have the words to put a label on it, so I didn't know what it was. It's only like now that I've done a lot of counseling and self-reflection and journaling and stuff on things that I can look back and know what it was. But I know, like, even like when I was in primary school, like 7 or 8, like I was always like really introverted, shy, had anxiety when it comes to simple things like asking a question in class, or talking to people, girls especially. Especially.
Yeah, of course.
But even talking to other boys at the time, it was a very difficult thing to do. And I think a memory that sticks out for me is like when I was like maybe 11 or 12, in the local shopping center, if there was a crowd of people, like I'd feel so much anxiety that I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to go in there. I can't walk through that crowd. And it'd be worse if there was like other people my age, or maybe just a little bit older, like maybe a year or two older. I have so much anxiety that I literally just wouldn't go in. Like if I was with my granny or someone at the time, like, no, I'm just not going in. I'll stay in the car. You can go and do your shopping.
Yeah.
Really, really bad. Like, and it ended up getting so bad during secondary school, like between when I was 14 to 17, that I ended up missing a lot of school. I used to like fake being sick, and I didn't know why at the time, but it's because I was literally riddled with so much anxiety and stress about being in a social environment that I'd physically try and make myself sick or just pretend that I'm sick, just to not go into school.
Yeah.
And in the second last, I can't remember if it was my second last year or the last year of secondary school. I was like 16 or 17, but I missed something like 24 or 25 days due to sickness. And it wasn't it was sickness, but it was mental health sickness. It was anxiety and it was stress. And that, it's a really long story how that came up, but it's just from a lot of loss that I'd experienced from kind of childhood and through my early teenage years of just losing a lot of people that were kind of close to me. That kind of manifests itself into anxiety, and it became really bad. So
similar. Sounds like, it does sound quite similar, to be fair. But it's crazy how people that do have anxiety can go through that, because I think everyone suffers with some form of anxiety. Can be mild, can be strong, like in our case. But it's like, if you've never had it, or you probably have had it, there are people that are young that have anxiety, but you just don't know what it is. You just think something's wrong with you, but you don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very hard to understand, especially when you're younger, but at least, as you start to do more self-reflection and stuff and look back as you get older, it's easier to kind of be like, oh, that's what it was. It's like, there wasn't something wrong with me. It's a response that my body's come up with, one of the reasons why I like Gabor Mate so much is because he has a quote and he's like, don't ask what's wrong, but ask, like when it comes to addiction, he'd ask, like, don't ask about what's wrong with the addiction, but what's right about it. Like, what has it done for you that allows you to feel better? Because a lot of people who suffer with anxiety then end up having some type of, issue with, not everybody, but some people end up having issues with either smoking or drinking or hard drugs or pornography, or can even be training, can become an unhealthy addiction, like extreme bodybuilding or whatever it may be. And so it's like, the compassionate question to ask is like, what was right about that thing that I was doing? Because you're acting from a place of trauma or a place of a very negative experience that you've had, and so your body is literally in a fight or flight state to try and protect you. And one of the ways it does that is, from my understanding anyway of psychology, is one of the way it does it is through something like anxiety, because it's like, if you feel anxious enough, it means you're probably not going to put yourself in a dangerous situation, So if you don't put yourself in that dangerous situation, then you're keeping yourself safe. But the thing is, like, if you are taking yourself away from what your body perceives to be dangerous situations, that can often mean that you become really introverted, you stay at home all the time, you don't talk to anybody else, and you just stick to yourself. And then obviously your mental health gets even worse as a result, because now you've got no social contact with anybody, and it's like a vicious, like, negative cycle that you can get in. So that was like a big learning curve for me, of kind of like asking the question of like, okay, why do I feel this, and where has it come from, And I think the more that you kind of dig into that, as uncomfortable as it is, you then can like be more compassionate with yourself and being like, oh, I felt all that anxiety because all of these really shitty things happened to me when I was 3, when I was 7, when I was 9, and it's manifested itself, literally in my body this way. So
Yeah, absolutely spot on that. Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hard thing to do though, like, so it's something that takes time, and some people are happy to address it and some people never do, so it just depends on what kind of stage of your journey you're on, because some
Yeah.
people address it, like you, when you're 24 or 25, and other people, they might wait until their 40s. Or for me, I was similar to you, like it was the start of 2019, so it would have been 24 actually as well.
Yeah. 2019. 2019. Hang on a minute. That's when you and I first got speaking.
Yeah, that's when we first started working together.
Yeah, I think it was just after you got out of therapy, right? Or you currently got one when you were getting therapy?
Yeah,
Or when you had a coach?
I'd started doing counseling like at the start of 2019. So I think we started working together maybe March,
September. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, I can't remember exactly. It's so long ago. Feels like feels like a long time ago. But it's been really cool to see all the progress that you've made, especially like strength wise. Is pretty astounding, especially through COVID, how you continue to, see a lot of progress in all different areas.
Yeah, definitely. It's I guess it's just deciding just to work on myself, because I'd never actually done that before. I'd just gone through life doing what I was supposed to do, or in quotation marks, supposed to do.
Yeah.
Whereas like I need to actually change, because you grow up with a similar worldview to your parents, and that can go literally from mindset about money to what you eat and diet.
Yep.
So like I had to change and reverse a lot of shit to where I am. Like I'm the person that I was even 2 years. I know we always change, but I feel like there was a large period of time where I was just the same person. But every year for me, like I change so much because I'm always working on my mindset all the time. Yeah, some of it's probably a bit woo-woo as well, but it works for me.
Yeah, like it just depends on what kind of level you're at, because what's woo-woo to someone else makes perfect sense to
That's right. Yeah.
So it depends how open you are to new ideas and things, I suppose. That's something I wanted to ask you about, actually, strength wise, because when we first started working together, you were at like what, 0 chin-ups, 0 push-ups, like strength was like very, very low. And
yeah,
after, I can't remember the time frame, 6 months or 8 months, like you got to the point where, what was your personal best for chin-ups? Like you got up to 8 or 10?
my personal best is like, I want to say like 13.
Wow, there you go.
But that was in the space of like 2 years.
Yeah, like that's really good progress for, like, that's the thing a lot of people don't realize. When it comes to building strength, that takes time. When it comes to having more energy, having less anxiety, less stress, mentally feeling better, that happens really quickly, like within a week or two. The strength is the thing that takes the longest to build up, and in the medium term, what you can see is obviously gradual changes in how you look, how you feel. Your strength obviously slowly goes up, but it's a gradual process. But like going from 0 to 13 in 2 years, that's a 1,300% increase.
Mad, like, isn't it? Yeah, when you put it like that,
yeah. I was like, if if either of us got a 1,300% return on any of our investments, I think I'd be happy.
Especially in 2 years. Yeah. It's a good ROI.
For sure, because like with when it comes to, let's say, the Vanguard FTSE All World, I was looking stats for that the other day, and the average return on that, I think, has been like over the last 10 years has been 145%.
Mm.
The S&P 500 has been like 250% or something like that.
Yeah.
So when you, and like that's a good return, of whatever that works out at, like 25% on average, per year.
Yeah.
But when you put your strength in terms of that, of like, I gained 1,300% on this exercise, it's like, holy shit, like that's crazy.
It is a lot, isn't it, actually? Yeah. Yeah. When you put it like that, it's crazy. But yeah, I think it was just it's consistency, isn't it? And doing the right thing. Because the science is out there on how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can definitely do it. As you just got to I think the biggest struggle was getting my first one over the line, because I was like, I'm just not built for this. But I kept going anyway, even though I thought this is bullshit. Only because I was annoyed that I couldn't do one. But it took me, I think it was my last week of training. Like, I got out of 12-week program with you, and it took me my last week. I think it was my last session or second to last session of my last week that I got my first pull up unassisted.
Yeah.
And obviously we compared it, didn't we? And I was like, no way. And I was on a buzz for like the whole weekend, because I think it was on like a Friday as well.
Nice. Yeah, like the hardest thing is literally going from 0 to 1. Like, it doesn't matter what movement it is, chin-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, like pick any movements. Like, getting your first one over the line is so hard, because it's like you said, it's that ingrained belief of, oh, can I actually do this? Or I'm not able to do this, or I'm not built for this, or whatever the narrative in your mind is.
Yeah, it definitely is a narrative.
And like, I seen a video earlier today of like, on the subconscious mind, that our conscious mind is only 5% of our brain. Subconscious mind is about 95% of our brain. So a lot of thoughts and behaviors and actions and stuff that we do actually are all subconscious. And it's like that iceberg again. The tip of the iceberg is the 5%, and the conscious, and the 95% is the subconscious, that we're not even aware of. So that's where the mindset part of everything comes in. And like, the great thing that I find really interesting about training or having consistency with your exercise or your workouts is that it teaches you so many skills that you can apply to everything else, to your family life, to work life, if you're self-employed, because it's the same principles that you can apply to everything, of like, okay, I need to show up regularly, I need to be consistent, I need to focus on progress of some type, have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, the gym with the right person to train you or teach you, or if you look on videos of someone with the right mindset going in the gym, or it doesn't even have to be gym, just turning up to do some form of exercise, and the discipline and the consistency that's behind it, that can definitely like you said, like, change your life, and you can incorporate that sort of routine or whatever that is into everyday life, right?
Yeah, and most importantly, it gives you the confidence of knowing like that you can do it, because even like, if we use the chin-ups example, if you prove to yourself that you can go from 0 to 1, with 12 weeks of hard work, which is, by the way, a really good time frame for that to make that happen. I think it took me like probably like 5 months to even get my first chin up, or 6 months when I first with no guidance. Like, use that as an example. It's like, you can apply that to anything, because the confidence that you get from proving to yourself that you can do something productive like that is like, well, if I can do that, what else can the more that you do, you can go from 0 to 1. That's like, okay, well, if I can get to 1, then I can go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 10, like all the way up to 13. And it's like, it's just the confidence that comes with that can be so huge. Because I feel like that was one of the things that I didn't really have much I didn't have any confidence at all when I was younger. So when I started seeing some progress with different things, it was never school, because I've never been good at memorizing texts or long pieces of paper. But when it came from things outside of school, like golf or going to the gym, you know, it gives you that confidence that's really like essential. So it's
brilliant.
It's not something that a lot of people, I think of initially when they think of training. They're just like, this is going to be really hard and I'm not going to enjoy it. And it's like, when you look at the surface level of it, it's like it can create so many like positive things for you.
Yeah, totally agree. No, I love that. Yeah. No, spot on. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been a really good catch up and talk.
How long have it? Yeah, we must be going for like an hour nearly, are we?
Yeah, I think we have. Yeah, I think I'm being called, so we'll have to wrap it up there and do a part 3 soon.
Cool, no worries, bro. Yeah, it's great to chat. Like we could probably chat for days on end about so many different things.
Easily.
But before we wrap up, because this is going to be on my podcast as well as yours.
Awesome.
So at the moment, like, where's the easiest place to find your podcast? Or like, I'll put the links in the description below anyway, but
cool.
Where should people go to follow you?
Yeah, simply on Instagram, it's The All Right Investor. That's at The All Right Investor. And I'm also on LinkedIn as well, which is just Shane Trainer. This is my name will probably be in the show notes on how to spell trainer, because it's not like the shoe or whatever, the sports thing. So they're the best places to contact me, to be honest. And yeah, my podcast is called The All Right Talk Show as well, and I think it's it's one of the first 5 episodes is sort of your first episode. So yeah, go and check that out if you are listening. And I guess likewise, how can people contact you, Elan, for my podcast listeners?
It's Coach Elan across everything. Instagram, Facebook, email is elan@coachelan.com, website is coachelan.com, LinkedIn is Elan Darcy. And I suppose something I want to mention, when we do another podcast, we'll probably talk maybe a bit more about investing, short-term, long-term investing, property, money mindset, maybe more kind of like around financial planning, all that kind of stuff that we didn't really get to cover today.
That'd be great. Yeah, that would be definitely worth a part 3 for sure.
Maybe some stuff on credit cards and, you know, applying for mortgages and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we'll have to see the differences between Ireland and England and see if there's any differences there.
Yeah, nice one. All right,
cool.
Good stuff. Well, I'll end the recording here, and then we can have a chat after.
Nice.